Hi, everybody. This is the chapter 19. We find out the truth, sort of, summary. And to begin the summary, I just want to read the section here about the underworld. So, excuse me, judgments for Elysium and eternal damnation. Welcome, newly deceased. Out of the black of the tent came two much smaller lines. To the left, spirits flanked by security ghouls were marched down a rocky path toward the fields of punishment, which glowed and smoked in the distance. A vast cracked wasteland with rivers of lava and minefields and miles of barbed wire separating the different torture areas. Even from far away, I could see people being chased by hellhounds, burned at the stake, forced to run naked through cactus patches or listen to opera music. I could just make out a tiny hill with the ant-sized figure of Sisyphus struggling to move his boulder to the top. And I saw worse tortures too, things I don't want to describe. Sisyphus, he did something bad, and the god's punishment of him was to push a rock up a hill every day. And just about as he would push it to the top, he would go to the bottom, and a new day started for him to push it up. So for the rest of eternity, that was his punishment. The line coming from the right side of the Judgment Pavilion was much better. This one led down toward a small valley surrounded by walls, a gated community which seemed to be the only happy part of the underworld. Beyond the security gate were neighborhoods of beautiful houses from every time period in history: Roman villas, medieval castles, and Victorian mansions. Silver and gold flowers bloomed on the lawns. The grass rippled in rainbow colors. I could hear laughter and smell barbecue cooking. Elysium. In the middle of that valley was a glittering blue lake with 3 small islands, like a vacation resort in the Bahamas. The Isle of the Blessed, for people who had chosen to be reborn 3 times and 3 times achieved Elysium. Immediately I knew that's where I wanted to go when I died. That's what it's all about, Annabeth said, like she was reading my thoughts. That's the place of heroes. Seems quite nice. All right, so they're in the underground. They're walking towards Hades. And all of a sudden, Grover's shoes sprout wings. He didn't do anything. They sprout wings and they start pulling him backwards. Okay? He's being pulled to the place where Percy has been dreaming about, because all of a sudden he sees and remembers this spot and he's like, I've dreamt about this. And they kept yelling at Grover to try and take his shoes off. He says, I'm trying. And thank goodness those shoes didn't fit right, and that Grover has hooves, because one shoe fell off and he was able to grab onto a rock and hold on just long enough to kick off the other shoe. And where they were now is the place was the entrance to Tartarus. So all of a sudden, like, Tartarus is a big evil pit in the underworld, so it's kind of a scary spot. But Percy starts noticing his backpack is feeling heavier, and they then decide, let's get out of here and let's try and find where Hades is. So what I want you to think about is, who gave Percy those shoes? And who was supposed to be wearing those shoes? Was it supposed to be Grover, or was it supposed to be Percy? There's a little bit of foreshadowing from the previous chapters to now this comes into play. And so they're looking for Hades, and they come across some food in the underworld. And they see the Garden of Persephone. The tart smell of those pomegranates was almost overwhelming. I had a sudden desire to eat them, but then I remembered the story of Persephone, one bite of underworld food, and we would never be able to leave. I pulled Grover away to keep him from picking a juicy one. So they keep going, and you can't have the food from the underworld. So that was good thinking because they don't need to be trapped there. And again, Percy's like, this backpack weighs a ton. And he couldn't figure out why it was so heavy. So they finally find Hades. He was at least 10 feet tall, for one thing, and dressed in black silk robes and a crown of braided gold. His skin was albino white. His hair, shoulder length, and jet black. He wasn't bulked up like Ares, but he radiated power. He lounged on his throne of fused human bones, looking lithe, graceful, and dangerous as a panther. I immediately felt like he should be giving the orders. He knew more than I did. He should be my master. Then I told myself, snap out of it. So, that's Hades. And if you remember what the other gods look like Ares was in a big leather jacket at that. Oh, excuse me. That's kind of an interesting look for Hades. So they're having a discussion, and it's all about the Master Bolt. And Percy was asking, can you give us the Master Bolt so I could take it to Zeus? And Hades isn't having any of it. He's like, you took it from him, you give it to me. And they go back and forth, and then finally, but you took Zeus's Master Bolt, Percy said. Lies! More rumbling. Hades rose from his throne, towering to the height of a football goalpost. Your father may fool Zeus, boy, but I am not so stupid. I see his plan. His plan? You were the thief on the winter solstice, he said. Your father thought to keep you his little secret. He directed you to the throne room on Olympus. You took the Master Bolt and my helm. And had I not sent my fury to discover you at Yancy Academy, Poseidon might have succeeded in hiding his scheme to start a war. But now you have been forced into the open. You will be exposed as Poseidon's thief, and I will have my helm back. But, Annabeth spoke. I could tell her mind was going a million miles an hour. Lord Hades, your helm of darkness is missing too? Do not play innocent with me, girl. You and the satyr. You have been helping this hero, coming here to threaten me in Poseidon's name, no doubt, to bring me an ultimatum. Does Poseidon think I can be blackmailed into supporting him? So, Hades' helm is missing. The Master Bolt is missing. It is very, very confusing now. Now, remember Percy was giving those 3 pearls, okay? And what is he supposed to do with them? And his whole point was to go save his mother. But before we get to saving, here it is. Return my property. But I don't have your helm. I came for the Master Bolt. Which you already possess, Hades shouted. You came with it, little fool, thinking you could threaten me. But I didn't. Open your pack, then. A horrible feeling struck me, the weight in my backpack, like a bowling ball. It couldn't be. I slung off my shoulder and unzipped it. Inside was a 2-foot-long metal cylinder, spiked on both ends, humming with energy. Percy, Annabeth said. How? So, how did Percy get it? Again, think back to previous chapters. Who gave Percy that backpack? And every time Percy tried to get rid of the backpack, it somehow came back to him. So, sometimes a little detail doesn't seem that important in previous chapters, but it does become important later on. So he's got those 3 pearls. His mother is not dead, but she's in the underworld. So who does he save? He's got his mother, himself, Annabeth, and Grover. Which 3 should he save? And each in turn are suggesting No, I'll stay. No, I'll stay. And Percy has to decide. And I turned to and faced my mother. I desperately wanted to sacrifice myself and use the last pearl on her, but I knew what she would say. She would never allow it. I had to get the bolt back to Olympus and tell Zeus the truth. I had to stop the war. She would never forgive me if I saved her instead. I thought about the prophecy made at Half-Blood Hill, what seemed like a million years ago. You will fail to save what matters most in the end. I'm sorry, I told her. I'll be back. I'll find a way. So they use those pearls to escape, and Percy makes it to the surface and wants to talk to the god who tricked them. I wonder who that is. And that's chapter 19. All right, thank you very much.